Hi, everybody. Well, I haven't heard of this situation, and apparently a pilot never heard of this situation. But we have a bunch of people returning from a cruise out of Vancouver to Houston. And guess what? They were quarantined. Well, a United Airlines flight had a very unique experience for both the crew and the pilots. They were flying from Vancouver, Canada, and heading back to Houston. I'm guessing that a lot of the passengers were on a cruise, say, to Alaska. It's the Alaska season, right? I don't know too many other cruises sailing out of Vancouver that aren't going to Alaska. So that being said, they were on their way in the flight, and apparently a lot of people started reporting nausea symptoms. And the crew started noticing it was happening more and more. What's strange about this is it started to happen all on the plane and not when people got home and everything. It's like now kind of thing. And sure enough, we heard that the pilots asked partway through the flight, has anybody been on a cruise? Please let the crew know. And apparently on this flight, about 75 of the passengers were on this cruise. Well, the pilot, about an hour after that, about an hour and a half before landing, came in and said, folks, we got some bad news for you. I've never had this happen to me in all my years of flying, but we have been quarantined by the CDC and nobody will be allowed to get off the plane. Now, if you remember the horror stories of what happened in the past, where people just panicked when COVID hit, right? And we started shutting down everything and quarantining cruise ships and everything like that. Well, that's the first thing that ran through people's minds, that was the situation. And they said, oh my God, are they going to hold us for like 14 days and things like that while they test us or what? Because remember, it's the travel basically that started spreading COVID from China. It was people who were just had it, spread it, traveling around, and it just went around the world. And so and that's why we shut down travel around the world at that time. You weren't even allowed in my city. My city is Ottawa, which is here. There's a river, and here is Hull in Quebec. We live together. We have people who work back and forth. It's a 10-minute drive. Well, we weren't even allowed to cross the bridge during COVID at one point. The police were on the other side turning everybody around. So yeah, it's a very weird situation, but apparently it wasn't COVID. It was the norovirus. And so about 24 of the passengers had the norovirus, and they were all from this unknown cruise ship. I'm imagining that cruise ship had a lot more people than just those people on this one flight to Houston. So yeah, it is becoming a thing out there. I've warned people in the past that, we got to get back to that washing the hands and being more stringent on our sanitary procedures than we are now. We just seem to have forgotten everything we learned during COVID. And I'm not saying to go back to that by no means, but I mean, we should be washing our hands going to the buffet, right? We should be doing that. So, we shouldn't be coughing out into people all the time. We should be covering our mouths when we cough. That's just polite. But I see it happening over and over again. Nobody using the hand washing stations. People just coughing and shooting it out there and not covering their mouths, and just it's becoming a thing. And that's why you're hearing reports more and more of norovirus out there. Well, the plane did land, and after about 45 minutes, they screened everybody, and 3 people were, escorted off the plane for further checks, but apparently nobody was actually brought to hospital. They just, once they confirmed it was norovirus more than a possibility of a COVID outbreak or something like that, or something worse, something new, then the CDC and the fire department and the police let them go. But the plane itself missed all its next flights, obviously, and was pulled from service and is now undergoing a complete sterilization as well on board. That was, I don't have to let everybody know, that, hey, by the way, if you were on this plane, because I'm quite sure you know. If you were on that plane, you know what happened because you had to go through all this. So it's not like I have to warn anybody about it. But I've never heard of something like this before in the past, of a plane getting pulled aside, for something other than COVID when that hit, and having them, quarantined until health officials went over the plane. And it's a bit of a crazy situation, but hey, we're kind of asking for it when we drop it seems, all of our common sanitary procedures. Let's just forget about it, everybody. We don't have to do it anymore because nobody's making us do it anymore. And now we're getting sick on cruise ships from norovirus. Not COVID, norovirus. What can you do? Maybe, I know, let's wash our hands.